joining the August 2nd VOLTHA call. And today we'll be going over some discussion on OLT adapters and technology profiles, and also review new JIRA issues that have come in since our last meeting. And so with that, I do want to remind everyone we do record these so they can be posted to the VOLTHA playlist on YouTube. So keep that in mind during any discussions and presentations. And with that, I think we'll get started for today. And Sean Missette, I see you on the list. I'm not sure if you're on the audio bridge yet.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I'm
Great. Okay. Then, if you don't mind, I think we'll start first with the discussion topic you brought up on our previous call. And so that is related to the OLT adapters and technology profile. So there was some discussion about for additional OLT adapters that are vendor specific, if we need to have additional JIRA stories to cover those, for including support for them for tech profiles, and then also some discussion related to the EdgeCore OLT adapter stories. So,
so let's just. I just want to clarify a couple of.
Okay.
A couple of things. So just looking at the existing technology profile stories under the EPIC. So there's a few that that are unassigned currently, and so I think Redis will be taking on some of these unassigned ones in the area of the OLT adapter, the Open OLT adapter. I did have a question about Vol 948, which is within the EPIC is a dependency. Yeah, it's the number one, is it?
I'll go directly there.
So currently, this is not. Well, I guess Gary should actually just taken that up today. I just wanted to check. I don't know if Shad is on or anyone from the AT&T Foundry in Atlanta, but I think I saw some email exchanges around that maybe Nick had done some work in this resource manager area. So I don't want to duplicate the effort. So, but I mean, right now the story to do the resource management for the OLT wasn't assigned, and Redis has taken that up. But if there was already an implementation, we'd kind of like to know about it. So,
okay, I'll go ahead. I don't see him on the bridge, so let's see. Oh, okay. I'll send a note to him later.
Okay.
I didn't
so
down really quickly. Next.
Okay. So the other issue that came up, so Shad had reassigned Vol 737 back to me because he wanted a little more decomposition, and he suggested maybe making that into an EPIC with some stories. So this is basically the handling technology profiles and meters in the Open OLT adapter. So I have created an EPIC for this one, and I'll create some more stories today, just decomposing that a little further. Is there any opposition to that, or would that be okay with everyone? If everyone has any issues with that, just let me know. And I'm wondering what to do with Vol 737. Do I just delete that, or close it, or somehow, or because that's going to be made into an EPIC essentially at this point.
Okay, so let's see. So I think I saw one new EPIC you created, 1128.
Yeah, that was the Vol 737 translated into an EPIC essentially.
Okay, so if this is just a duplication of the other at this point, then I think we can close it.
Okay.
Sometimes you can do a conversion from the type as well. But I think we'll close this one since we have the new one to track, and then just mention in the comments that it's replaced by. Okay. And
so sounds good.
If I can, my navigation bar keeps getting covered up and I can't get to the screen. So 11:28. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll add that note, and then we can close this one out.
Okay. And so then the other issues, I guess, were, one is with the EdgeCore OLT adapter stories. Do we want to, again, deprecate those, close those out? Because everything is basically, everything's going towards the open OLT adapter at this point. Seems like all the effort and work. And so I think the EdgeCore OLT adapter support there may not be a demand for that adapter at this point. Maybe we can put out a call for comments on maybe deprecating the EdgeCore OLT adapter specific stories, with the assumption that everything would migrate to the open OLT adapter.
Okay. Okay, so we'll put something.
Yeah.
Was there a comment from someone else on the bridge? Okay, I don't hear anything from the folks on the call today, so I'll include this in the minutes, and then I think probably we'll try and get this resolved maybe by Tuesday's call, and if there's no opposition by Tuesday, then
sounds good.
We'll move forward with that.
And I guess a similar, well, not a similar thing, but another OLT adapter specific to CIG. Do we need to write stories for tech profiles and meter support for that adapter also, or?
So Lynn, I think I see you on the call from CIG. So this is maybe a question where I need some guidance from the community as well, but I wanted to make sure that CIG was a part of this discussion too. So I'm not sure, as I was looking at some of the previous things that Donna had done in the past with some of the earlier stories, and there was a move at one point to kind of take some of the vendor-specific stories and not cover them with a larger group. But I think that may be more if things have not been contributed to the community since the CIG adapter has been incorporated into VOLTHA, then I'm really not sure what we should do here. If we should have specific stories, and not sure if that would be taken on then by CIG to do that work, or if we need to manage them in the sprint.
Yeah,
so I'll take comments from everyone.
I think we can follow the mainstream of the technology profile and the open OLT adapter. So Sean is working on the open OLT to support technology profile, right? Based on the EdgeCore OLT.
Well, so the stories are specific to the open OLT, and basically Redis is taking up some of those stories. Shad has some of those stories, and I think the AT&T Foundry has some of those stories as well as Gamze for the VOLTHA core work and then someone else from Telecom or Netsphere, I guess, is working on the core part of the technology profiles. So from the open OLT side, it's mainly I guess ONF, Redis, AT&T Foundry, I think.
Yeah, the target is of the open OLT is to work with all the OLT, existing OLT with a uniform interface, right?
With the so the standard interface, the gRPC interface that's been defined by Shad, I guess currently.
Yeah, I mean the the message format and data structure interface between the OLT adapter and the physical OLT.
Yeah, there's some specific logic though that occurs within the OLT adapter itself, though, around reading the technology profiles and allocating resources and creating a technology profile instance that the ONU can use. So I mean, there's a lot of work in that area. I mean, the provisioning of the physical OLT using the gRPC messages and the ONU using the OpenOCI messages. Those interfaces should stay the same unless there's something specific for CIG for configuring the OLT, physical OLT itself.
So yeah, so I just discussed it with Chip this week about the OpenORT. So so is this the target that in the future the OpenORT adapter will be used for throughout all the existing ORT? This is a target? Or?
Well, I think I'm speaking for the ONF, I guess. So unless someone wants to speak, but my understanding, anyway, is that the OpenOLT is a generic type of adapter that should be able to accommodate any OLT. I mean, having said that, there may be some specific logic that specific OLTs may need. For instance, there may be some restrictions on what the sequence of gem ports that they can accept, or the ALEC IDs that could be used, and there may be some groupings there that we don't generally know about. But so that would be done either on the physical OLT itself or on a specific OLT adapter. But
okay.
So I mean, I think the goal is to try and make the OpenOLT work with as many physical OLTs as possible.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
And that's my understanding as well. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So, I see. So we'd like to move forward with the common design, and so then we were trying to accommodate to OpenORT adapter later of CIG ORT. So yeah, go ahead.
So if do you think you would want to? I mean, I assume you want to support technology profiles and meters and those kind of new capabilities that are being added to the OpenOLT. The question is, do you want to do that within a CIG specific OLT adapter, or do you want to? Would you have the OpenOLT adapter manage the CIG physical OLT directly?
And if you need more time to talk that over with your group, that's fine as well. So we want to make sure we get those discussions kicked off. So I think in principle here, so if you go with the OpenOLT adapter, then that's something that's maintained by the community in general. We've got modules for that. If you move forward with maintaining the CIG adapter, then it's your responsibility to keep it updated with each release and with new functionality that's needed, and to keep it in lockstep with core and all of the other work going on. So it could be kind of a phased approach you take, or it sounded to me, and I'll have you work with me to get your thoughts captured correctly here before we move on. But it sounds like you want to at least investigate towards using the OpenOLT in the future. but at this point you may not have enough experience with it to know if there are gaps or tweaks that need to be made for it to work with your OLT. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So maybe I can come up with my suggestion in the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll capture this, and then next week, Tuesday, if you're ready, we can discuss it then, or if you need to defer it till Thursday, just let me know.
Yeah, next Tuesday is okay.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. And Sean, thank you for that discussion as well. Okay,
Sure.
So let me see. So we had this discussion, and we have the open-ended question at this point to see if there's opposition to deprecating EdgeCore OLT-specific adapter technology profile stories, assuming that going forward, things would be migrating over to the Open OLT adapter for the bulk of the work. So we'll keep that discussion open through Tuesday, and then I hope to have resolution by the end of Tuesday's call. And if the decision is to deprecate, then Sean, if you can help me in getting the right stories closed out, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, I know we've had a few other people join since the start of the call, so let me circle back to this quickly, what we were just talking about with the proposal on the table right now to deprecate the EdgeCore OLT adapter stories for technology profile support. So are there any comments from anyone else who's joined the bridge related to that proposal?
This is Chip. I'll go back and review the recording when it becomes available just to see what our impact is.
Okay, thank you, Chip.
Okay.
All right, anyone else? Then I think next on our agenda is looking at the new stories that have come in. And if I can, I had a tab open. Here we go. So I believe we're starting, oh, and some more have opened up since the call started. So, okay, so I think we're starting with number 1126. I can get back to the right tab. And 1126 is for the Open OLT adapter, and that's OLT disable and re-enable. That was opened by Nick yesterday and is being worked by him as well. I don't see anything else in here beyond that. Let me see if anyone from Foundry has joined. I'm not seeing anyone on the list right now. Okay, so this one I will check with him. I'm guessing since he just opened up the story that this is probably targeted for Sprint 5, but I will check with him on that. Okay.
Is there any description of what it means to disable an OLT? I mean, does it just go through and disable all the?
I don't see anything in here right now. We can ask him to add the description.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. Then the next one is 1127, and this one is in Sprint 5, and this is some cleanup for logging. And so this again was opened by Nick. This one is targeted for Sprint 5, so perhaps the 1126 is not. So I'll find out. And this is to adjust the log level of various messages. So it looks like, basically running into some issues when they're long, we've got a system up for a long time. And so we may need to follow up with him next week to see if we can get more detail. So any questions from the group for this one that we should capture today?
You mentioned it was an issue when running for a long time. That seems to me that we're getting our log files are full, we're filling up disk. And if that's the case, is the solution really just to turn off logging this way? Or is there another solution that we have to deal with, which is log size and log rotation and everything else?
cannot type well today. Sorry about this, folks. David, do you have it? I know you said more, and as I'm typing, I'm forgetting what you said. Do you want me to capture that here, or do you want to add a direct comment? Yes?
Yeah, add at David Bainbridge, and I'll add it. So it pulls me, I'll get the reminder, and it'll pull me in there, and I'll add a comment.
Thank you. Somewhere here. All right, I think you're DB, is that right? Here we go. Okay, thank you for that. And other comments or questions on this item for today? Okay, then the next one is 1128. We briefly talked about this earlier today. So this is the epic that's replacing the earlier user story, so it can be broken down into more manageable chunks. And so I do see you updated the story points for this also. So yes, definitely good to break this into multiple stories. So I think since this was really just a replacement of the other story, we probably don't need any discussion here today, but I'll just open it up quickly for comments or questions if there's anything for Sean. Okay, then we'll go on to the next one, 1129, refactor robot test case for OLT provisioning. And okay, and so this is for refactoring the test case to use test steps in robot that call wrapper functions in Python rather than a single Python function. And then we do have some acceptance criteria listed here. And any comments or questions on this item today? I don't think we've got, let me see, got anyone from Network on Bridge. I'm not seeing anyone at the moment. Okay.
Hi, Daniel speaking from Notforge.
You are there. Sorry. Yeah. I see you now. Yes.
So this ticket is under progress. We are doing the refactoring, and hopefully we can finish soon.
Okay. Do you think so? Sprint 5 right now is targeted to go through the end of next week. Do you think this one, should we move this into Sprint 5? Do you think it will likely complete in that time?
Yeah, I think it's better to move to the next phase because it's come with using the other framework, so it is interconnected. So it's better to move to the next sprint.
Okay, so I'll target this for Sprint 6. Thank you for that. Okay. Any questions from the group? Okay. Then the next item, 1130. This is for Jenkins. Envoy building requires sudo, and this is currently blocking an issue 1056, which is, let me take a look at that one really quickly. Yes, okay. Test case OLT provisioning and enabling. Okay. And this is where we have artifacts failed to build. Any questions or comments from the group? I think there's some.
I have a question about that one. I see on the public Docker Hub repo that the VOLTHA Envoy is being built regularly, and I just checked, the last push was 15 hours ago. So I'm just wondering which process is building those and successfully building them and pushing them on the Docker Hub. I thought it was the Jenkins process. Is there a different process doing that?
Is this the Docker image VOLTHA / VOLTHA - Envoy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's built by Docker Cloud.
So that's not on by Jenkins.
That's not by Jenkins. We have those configured for auto builds. So anytime the source is updated, the auto builds will kick off.
Are they built like on AWS cloud or somewhere else?
It's so Docker Cloud uses I can't remember whose infrastructure they use to build it. So if you go to cloud.docker.com, it'll build the images. Basically, a little more advanced options than just the normal Docker Hub auto build stuff.
Okay. Because this issue it's really building in the AWS environment. That needs a sudo to build envoy currently, and on the AWS they don't allow sudo for that.
Okay.
So we need to change the way it's being built. That's all.
Other comments or questions?
So this one you can assign that to me.
Okay, that was my next question, was we could assign it to you. So thank you, Ken. And would this be in Sprint 5?
That's end of next week, right?
Yes, end of next week. Or target for Sprint 6?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially for 5 or 6, or
potentially for 5. Like,
potentially for 5. Okay.
Yes.
So why don't I, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and place it there now, and then if we need to move it back out, we'll just go ahead and do that.
Okay, sure.
If I can find, oh, I need to go into edit. And I'll add a note that this may.
Yeah. So Ken, yeah, I have a question for Ken. Will you fix the sudo, or will you remove that that port from the build script?
Well, you can't use sudo, right, on AWS, so it has to be removed. My concern at this time, like, well, my only issue at this time is I can't reproduce the problem locally. So we need to find a way to reproduce it, because if I provide a fix and I don't know whether it fixes the problem or not. One thing that may do, I may provide a fix and send that directly to you or Gilles to try it in your environment first before I submit the code. Would that be okay?
We don't have our own environment, because replicating exactly the same environment in our lab is cumbersome. So that's why we try to use directly the code test environment. So we don't have a setup here. We just run the robot script directly in a VM. Then and when we test locally, everything fine. And we try to put it in the external Jenkins server running on the code servers. So that's how we work.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit tricky because if I can't reproduce it, I submit a fix, then it goes on Jenkins, and I will rely on Jenkins like to figure out whether it's successful or failed, and then I'll have to put another commit. So it's a little bit at times it's a little bit annoying to do it that way. Maybe a lot of back and forth before we get it right.
Do you have a suggestion? Can we take it up? Like, do you have any suggestion how to replicate the test environment from or Jenkins environment from code to our lab, so we can test it locally?
It may be more tricky. It may be tricky to do that.
Yeah, that's why we didn't do it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to find a different way to run this.
Okay.
To create this Docker container instead of having to use sudo there.
Thank you.
Other discussion?
No.
All right. Thank you, Ken, and thank you, Daniel, for the discussion on that. 1131 is the next item, and this is a workaround. Okay, so this is the workaround related to the other, well, we're waiting for the other issue to be resolved. Okay, so this one, I would expect the workaround would be, yeah, like local check-in servers to unblock while waiting for the fix. Okay, so this one I think we can leave it outside the sprint right now because this is pending the fix for 11:30, and we'll just keep watching this in the background as needed. Any questions on this issue or task? All right, I am not hearing anything. So that takes us through, I think, the main discussion points that we had for today, which was going over the new issues. I didn't get any comments from before the meeting, at least, if there were other topics that need to be discussed by the group today. We don't have any demos lined up for today. So I think probably we will have a short call unless there are other topics people need. I do want to remind everyone that next week we're going to have the discussion on the core adapter interface proposal that was updated by Ken, and it's out there on VOLTHA Discuss. So I do see that we've gotten a few comments in, so that's good, and a link again to remind people where to find that. So please continue the review of that. So Ken, I think my hope here is that by the end of next week, that we'll hopefully we can kind of close this comment phase. I know it's going to be a work in progress and things will change as we go on, but I think you're looking for just closing out the initial feedback so that you can move forward and then things will evolve over time. So we do have that discussion lined up for next Thursday's call. And at this point, it's the only discussion topic that we have lined up. We don't have any other demos. I think some more things may come in for discussion topics, but we should hopefully have sufficient time to review that and try and resolve any comments that you do get between now and then. So there's about another week for people to look into that updated proposal that Ken provided. Okay, let me see. Any other topics that the group has for today?
This Chip, I just had a general heads up. I just finished getting back from the Foundry, and I was working with some of the ONF and Foundry people on some of the PKI Kafka format. So I'm going to be posting some of that discussion both over to SIBA as well as the VOLTHA Discuss list, just for a heads up for people. But it's just better metadata so that they can produce code a lot easier. So, and that'll be a future JIRA.
Okay. Do you think that's a topic we need to allocate some time for on one of the calls as well?
We can if we need to, but I'll put it out on the discuss list to start with, just so we can save everybody time.
And then if it does need greater coverage, then let me know, and then we can schedule a time slot and get related parties involved. So Chip, I don't expect you would necessarily be on the hook for everything there. So, okay. Any other comments from the group? Okay, then I'll just go back here to the board for a minute. I know there's been a lot going on this week, so that we have Sprint 5 is currently in flight, and we've got about a week left for that. It's targeted to close at the end of next week, so next Friday. So we've got a lot in flight right now, and then we'll get some status updates on Tuesday's call to see how we are for the final week of our sprint. And I think that's probably all we have for today, unless there are specific items people want to dive into. And I think since Foundry has been tied up, and I know we had some discussion items from Tuesday that we wanted to discuss, we'll try and slot those in for next week, and hopefully we'll have everyone back kind of on regular schedules so we can have that discussion next week. Okay, other comments or questions from the group? Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. I'll give you some time back. If anyone has demos that they're looking at for related kind of the Sprint 5 work, so if you'd like to start getting a time slot lined up, for after Sprint 5 closes, let me know and we can start looking at usually the Thursday calls to see if in a couple weeks we can have some demos from the Sprint 5 work. So keep that in mind and let me know if, yes, was there a comment?
Yeah, hey Julie, Sean, Sahil here from Reliance Jio. I just have a small update for you people. I joined the call after, it was pleasure talking to you last time. So from the organization perspective, I mean, we are still, in the process of, getting involved on the organization level. But me and Ajay, we would like to, get involved on a personal level with the project. So it will be good, if you, I mean, if the community can guide us and we can also pick up from next sprint something, to get us know the project better. I mean, how you guys feel it. I mean,
the audio broke up and I missed about a sentence or two. So it cut out after, or what was it cut out after? Looking for some guidance from the community, and then I didn't hear anything, and then there was something about Sprint. So could you repeat that a little bit? I'm sorry.
Yeah, not a problem. So I was saying that we are looking for, guidance from the community on the side that, we wish to contribute on a personal level till the, things are sorted out on the organization level. And so, it's kind of it will be a head start for us. And so from the next sprint, maybe, I mean, how you guys feel, we would also, like to take up some work if,
Okay.
Okay. I mean, how you feel it, I mean, it's okay. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
So I would suggest perhaps we have some of the tech leaders.
Yeah, I mean,
specific areas, take a look at if they have specific stories they could take some help with. And also, if you have specific areas where you feel your strengths lie for the development work, then you could raise that up to the community too.
So we had to start. So it's like, we are comfortable working with Java, and I mean, even with Python and Go, it's not a problem. We can pick it up. So it's just like, getting involved in the project and getting to know level, which is I mean, hasn't happened for us yet.
Okay.
So maybe I'll get in touch with you or Sean after the call, or maybe sometime, to discuss. Yeah, more on that. I'll not waste people's time, so it's okay.
Sure.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I'll also let folks know if you're on one of the areas that you're leading for the technical work, if you have specific requests, then we can bring that forward also and see if that's a fit. So we've got a list. I think I probably need to put an updated version on the wiki, but we have a version of the Scrum leads. But yes, you can contact me offline, and Sean and I can talk with you and see if we can find a good way to get you plugged into the development work. That would be a great help.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the group? Okay, I think we'll wrap up for today. I'll give you a little bit of time back, and then we'll go through some detailed reviews on status for JIRA issues for Sprint 5 on Tuesday's call, and then next Thursday we'll have a discussion on the core adapter interface and any other topics that get slotted in between now and then. With that, I think I'll go ahead and stop the recording.